Hello, my name is Elizabeth Laris, and I'm the Director of Programs here at apexart. And we have today here Pavel Sterec, who is here between Brno and Prague, is that right, in the Czech Republic. Pavel has just finished his 1-month fellowship here with us, and we'll be speaking with him today about just that. How are you feeling today? It's the last day of your fellowship.
Yeah, like quite emotional after all the, if it's right expression, and yeah, it's just like, I think as always when you are leaving, it's kind of special moment.
Bittersweet. Yeah. What is there something in particular that you're going to miss? Like, what are you feeling strongly about right now?
It's just the way how I live in Czech is very different. Of course, I right now like being a professor and also father, for example. I have to like kind of prepare the program for others almost all the time, and it was like really like strong to just like experience it like really in the opposite way, like being kind of like very submissive and just to follow some suggestions or and program. So I'm kind of a bit worried about the switch from this kind of
being the facilitator rather than somebody who's kind of facilitated for in a way. Going back to the beginning of the program when you first got here, some people are often not sure about what the program is. It's very unconventional. We tell people to stop making art. We kind of tell them what to do and where to go and what to see and how to do. And people sometimes feel somewhat suspicious about that outset. They might want to focus more specifically on something that they want to research or something that directs more specifically to their program, but we do just the opposite. We try to show them everything that's not what they're doing and see if that opens them up for more inspiration. Did you feel that way when you first got here? And if so, how have things changed? Or more broadly speaking, how has your perspective of the fellowship changed during the program?
I think an important part of the fellowship is that me or like another fellow, you've been like kind of like selected and not applied. So, and I found it like nice because I like wouldn't apply for such a fellowship, but when it like came to me, I was curious, and I wouldn't apply for it not because I found it interesting, but it's sometimes it's also like difficult to just or in certain period of life you apply a lot and you kind of like and I'm already in I think like just different like period of my life that I'm more focused to some like projects and not and also it's because maybe the family and so but that was really like but it was really like challenge when I was like selected or asked if I would like to do it, and of course I was informed that the program will be like that. And I don't have problems with not to create for a certain amount of time, and also I'm really like my art is often based doing some kind of like research, but also sometimes online. Like loitering somewhere and or floundering, whatever. So just certain activities here were really like different from what I kind of used to do, but in different countries and different contexts. And of course, I think that the intensity of it, it's of course like very different. Like to have like 3 activities per day, it's different and when you go somewhere and you are there all day staring at something, or but in the beginning I was kind of shocked that the activities are really like 3 per day and different places. But then I started to enjoy. Also, just the fact that I can just like type the address into the GPS and just use the bike or the subway, to that. Also, the traveling in between the places and activities was kind of like nicer than I've expected before.
So the real difference in the program from what you typically do, since you don't, like, not making art was not a big deal, but kind of being provided all of this schedule and things to go and things to see, that was, did you, you've described sometimes that it's passive. Did you feel, we kind of battle with that a little bit, wanting people to feel engaged, and on one hand we are telling them where to go and what to do, but we're not telling you how to do it.
Yeah, but I think that passivity is sometimes very like positive thing, and it's not that I was not like physically or mentally active, but just this feeling that it's kind of like organized, that I know where to go, like whom to contact, that I don't have to solve like all those like small things by myself.
It's super structured and provided for you. Right.
The tickets, like the people to meet with. So this kind of like passivity, it was like more like relaxing, or like it's not like I don't take the word passivity as some like with the negative connotations.
Right. It's like you're open and kind of open to experiencing new things. Speaking of things that you've done, can you tell me about some of the activities that you did, specifically something that you did perhaps that you didn't expect to like, or that maybe surprised you?
I think that the most surprising were the physical activities, like because I enjoyed them at the end, not all of them, but quite few of them, much more than I expect. Like I was really kind of I felt in the beginning like really like being kind of like forced to do some and it's not that I don't like I don't practice any sport, and actually I kind of like realized that it's important to think also about the body. So I'm happy that I had the chance to try those things.
Can you give a couple of examples, specifically ones that really struck you, or?
Also the like activity, like the sport activities, like cycle around the Central Park. That's very like that's what I do in Czech Republic, and it's kind of like this individualistic sport that when nobody is, guiding you, and I so for example, like this like Tai Chi lesson was great. Of course, like there's plenty of people practicing Tai Chi in Czech Republic, but I in my normal life I would never go to Tai Chi lesson. Just also because I'm not the kind of regular employee, although I work in university, but I'm there like 2 days per week, and then I'm traveling a lot, and I don't have time, like I don't have like this regular time to attend certain activity every week or something.
Right.
So
and now you have 2 physical activities every week for 4 weeks. It's very different approach.
And also in certain environments, like for that sport activities, like this wellness yoga. So it's also like kind of. yeah, like just very specific people go there, and I wouldn't do that in Czech. I would.
Do you think you'll try any of these? But now that you've tried them here, do you think you'll try some of these physical activities back home?
I'm not sure if specifically those I attended here, but definitely, after some of those activities, for example, I'm sure that I will not go to Iral yoga, it's like too
very specific.
But I can imagine that I will start to do like yoga at home, or time to time somewhere, or the Tai Chi. It was also very nice.
Was it your first time doing Tai Chi?
Yeah.
Nice. What was something that you did that you really, really, really enjoyed that maybe didn't surprise you as much, but you were happy to find on your schedule regardless?
Like plenty of stuff, like almost all volunteering works connected with social or environmental things. Also, few lectures. I was really it was really amazing to see, for example, really hundreds of people on the lecture about the deep sea life. I was not expecting that. I was expecting that I will be there alone with two other people. And
Secret Science Club is a very big thing.
Yeah. And also, for example, some programs in the library, like the map warping. That was super nice and interesting. Yeah. So I enjoyed plenty of stuff like.
I'll come back to a couple of those in a minute, but finishing up this string of questions of things that you really were surprised by, things that you really enjoyed, were there any activities that once you did them you found that you did not like them and did not enjoy the experience? Or that might have influenced you a little
bit? But the
bit
traumatic experience is also valuable somehow.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely believe that, but I still want to know what those things were.
So I'm still really traumatized from the stand-up comedy class, really, or this free improv, because of the level of my English and being kind of forced to be in the stage. It's also for visual artists. It's not really a usual thing. Although I time to time do performances, so I'm not really shy person who's never on the stage. But especially dealing with the humor and fun, to be funny, you need really you need to know language very well, and to be conscious how to use it. And if you are not, if you are not, then it's only unintentional. That you are maybe funny, but not because you want to be, but because you are just funny because you are not using the proper words, etc. But the teacher, he was great. He was I'm really professional. He really tried to integrate me in the class, and so it was a really good job by him.
But just the context, you wanted to be more fluent in a way. But is improv a thing at all in Czech Republic?
It's.
So I wonder how it would be for you as a native speaker doing it, and if it would be a different experience that might give you something else.
Of course, there is no culture for that. Of course, some people do that, but it's not that popular. So, and it looks different. So, the whole idea of this improv show based on the comedy show based on after that I went to stand-up show or whatever to the club in Brooklyn, and that was okay to from the position of audience, but it's still, and you know, it was like very like political and clever and whatever. So I enjoy it, but it's very different from what we got like in theaters in this way. Also because people here are really they are used to that. They support the comedian or whatever, like with the noise and with the clap, and like like it's not like that.
Right.
So it's just like very different.
There's no feel-good laughs that you just do as an audience member to make. Yeah,
and you know,
and
if your question was also about the like just you know like activity which was not interesting, and kind of like the bad example, that was for sure, for example, this morbid anatomy museum, like kind of private, touristic, not very informative, very expensive. I was not paying for that, but anyway, you know, I felt kind of like strange. Yeah, just like bizarre, obscure thing, which is kind of attractive for some fetishists, and I
do they have museums like that? Are those the things? There's a lot of small, as you went to several tiny museums in New York that have their own little niche thing. Is that a thing at all in Prague or Brno?
Of course, there are some really touristic museums, also like small, but I have never been in those museums. I don't even like consider them museums. You know, like in the old town of Prague, you have this like museums of torturing instruments, and like this kind of like just commercial like museums just to attract the people. And yeah, so recently we've got like those museums, and then there's like plenty of like state museums and some or regional museums, but it's usually connected with like the state, and there's not that big tradition of small private museums, because simply because like this 25 years since the revolution are not enough for it, and there's no tradition for it.
Can you give another example? You mentioned you might try to do more physical activity, but is there anything else that you encountered on your fellowship through the activities that inspired you to want to go deeper or bring back into stuff that you do at home?
I'm definitely now kind of attracted, or it interests me, and actually I was like dealing a bit with that like topic even like before in Czech, but I've attended several activities for which were more like self-help a bit, you know, that not really for the public, or they are open for the public, but for example this people are regularly singing these sailors songs in the museum. I was maybe the only one from like the only audience, and also the really first week, for example, this lecture at the library. You know, it was more for really like we were like three there.
Which library lecture?
This New York library about the economy.
Oh right, okay. Financial workshop.
Actually, we had a discussion with Stephen about it, that it was not planned only to observe how kind of lonely people spend their time in the public institution. That the content was or that the content wasn't random. But in general, like this, like institutions like museums, what they offer to kind of elderly people or also how they can serve to maybe even like homeless people and people looking for a job, or or simply just lonely or a little bit lost people. Yeah, that I would like to explore more in Czech as well, because it's amazing how now some institutions they switch the role of the institutions switch. Like, and definitely it's a question with libraries. Now you have plenty of stuff online, and you can. So now the physical.
How do you get people to attend? How do you get people to be engaged? How do you get them out of their houses? Right. Who shows up and why? That's interesting. So it's not exactly like the topic of the discussion you went to or the event itself, but who's there and why and what brings them. That's interesting.
And that I would like to explore also.
Are there sort of infrastructural, institutional programs? I mean, there obviously our library systems are super robust in New York City, and it's not always the case throughout the States, but is that a similar situation?
Yeah. But I was not often there.
Right. You don't go.
Yeah.
How do you? So it's like, how do you get yourself to go, and what's also pushing you?
Yeah.
Besides the apexart program.
Yeah. So probably I'm going to like attend some almost like random lectures there just to observe like who are the people there.
I know that you biked a lot in this fellowship, more than we prescribed, which is still welcomed and encouraged. How did you find New York as a biking city, especially compared to places you're more familiar with?
It's quite like flat, not as a Prague. You've got like many hills.
Okay.
So definitely from this perspective, it's like much more biking friendly. And like also this like the system of the city bikes is like so good here. So you don't have to like carry the bike everywhere, and then like you can just leave it in some spot and then like change to subway or whatever. And and it's a way how to see the city. Like it's just better than a subway, because you are not in subway you look at the people, and that's interesting, very interesting. But during the day, the bike was kind of like way how to explore also the surface, like more than by walk, and I simply like it. I use like.
And you were okay with the traffic and the taxis and all the buses. It's all comparable to what you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. A lot of people, even if they're familiar with riding bikes, the traffic here is something that they're not so confident with. But
and I have to say that I even a bit like it, like that I'm in the big street with the cars.
Holding your own.
Yeah, and it keeps you kind of like focused, or and you are a bit aware that it's like a bit danger, or it's dangerous. So there is certain adrenaline in it as well.
Yes, it definitely takes a certain degree of attention when you've got cars going. You've got a car door opening, and what you mentioned a bit in the beginning, some of your observations about food here. I was wondering I don't know, is there a greater variety of food here than what you're typically familiar with? Did you try new things? What were your thoughts about food here?
In the beginning, and I even like wrote it to this like diary, I was like simply shocked how big difference you've got in the food. So not only talking about the like variety, but also about quality. So I really think that the like cheap food, like this super cheap food here, is kind of like really kind of like poisonous, and it's we are now in Europe kind of like fighting against this transatlantic agreement with US, that US are kind of like pushing, or US, like, certain politicians are pushing to this agreement, and this will unify the regulation, so they will most likely go down to the US level. so I was kind of I really like experienced through the cheap food here. So it's super cheap. How bad this would be for poor people, because they are kind of, they don't have a choice. But when you have choice, then you can go to like super nice restaurants here with like really great food, and definitely because all those like minorities here and the diversity of the city, like you can have, you know, like almost like any type of food. So yeah, so it's not that I was not happy with the food as such, but just, you know, how stratified it is.
What I'm not sure I gather or not is if one is I'm wondering, is food a lot more expensive here in general? Because I'm thinking there's a lot of relatively, for our perspective, I think cheap, good food options in New York specifically. But obviously that gets very expensive. It depends all where you go, and it might just be you didn't.
Yeah, and also it's maybe still the prices in Czech are kind of like same everywhere.
Okay.
Same
quality.
Yeah. So okay, you can go to the like luxurious restaurant and then you pay a lot, but still, you know, like here with kind of like no regulation, like something can cost like almost nothing. Maybe it's good, but maybe really not. Like it's just deregulated. It's, you know, like.
Depends on also, you know, how much outdoor seating you have, and if you're right by the park, they can have the same low quality food, but it's 8 times as much, right? That's definitely, I think, for sure. How did you find the food in when you went to Jackson Heights?
Yeah, like yeah, we don't have those like, or like we've got some like Indians living in Czech, but you know, just really few. So it's for example, Indians, and they're like Nepalese and Tibetans. So it's like very exotic for me because I have never like been in those like places in Asia, for example. So yeah, like for example, there like the food is like interesting and
authentic.
Maybe. I don't know because I cannot compare it.
Fair enough. You mentioned a little bit about your volunteer activities here and how they were very interesting and meaningful for you. I wanted to ask if you do volunteer work at home, and if so, what types of things, or how you kind of compare.
I do a lot volunteer activity in Czech, but very like in very different way. Or I never applied for any like through some organization which sends people to different volunteer activities. I'm more connected to some like grassroots movements and some like squatters and people like fighting for the rights of refugees and for etc. So there is always plenty of things, but and like how you can help those people. And I usually in Czech I prefer this like grassroots, even not even like not formed as NGOs, but more like really like anarchist collectives or
like community structured rather than organizational structure.
But
I think that the food pantry thing that you did would be considered more. I mean, they have their own nonprofit, but that was a nonprofit formed by a community, from my understanding.
Yeah. And that was, for example, one of my maybe like strongest experience here as well. Because also in some like in some volunteering activities, you know that only to train me as a new volunteer is kind of difficult. So I was not maybe really helpful. Like in this compost place, okay, like there were maybe even like more people than the work. You know? So it was like nice. I tried everything, but they had kind of like a hard time with me. You know?
At the Red Hook Farm.
Yeah. It was super interesting to see it. I was really happy that I've been there, but I didn't like help a lot. You know, like I actually I would like because there were just like simply like 2 many people for like just a little bit of a work. So but in this like food bank, we call it like food bank for you know, like there were like I think hundreds people like coming for the food and just like few volunteers. So it was really like hard job and to do it and yeah, it was so nice also just like to see the people, like not because I felt that I'm the one who was giving some food to someone, just you know, to meet the people and to see the space and to meet the other volunteers there, because it was also nice to talk with those volunteers. They are going there, like some of them like regularly. Why?
Another aspect of the program here, as you know, is this regular therapy component. And some people find it super valuable, and you don't have to be specific, obviously, about this, but how did it help you orient yourself in the program, or how did you feel it supplemented the program for you?
I think it was really important part of the program for me and really like valuable. And I had some experience with therapy in Czech, but only with this therapy for couples, and it didn't work out very well. And it's like I didn't enjoy it there, but it was really different here. So it really and it was maybe the only kind of like stable thing also in the program.
Right, it's the one thing that you return to every week.
Yeah. So. I can even imagine, like when you ask, like one of the previous questions, if I can, like if I will continue with some activity in Czech. Like I can imagine that, for example, going to therapy is like one of those things.
Great. Is there anything that you did this past month, or experienced, or tried that you suspect will affect your work creatively, professionally, or your personal life? And if so, what is that thing, and how is it going to change what you do?
Now, after like the months, the whole procedure, let's say, I think it will really change my work. But it's not really about the topics or the activities, but more that I was kind of like shaken, and it's
because of the structure.
It was like really like different from all the residencies I had before. Because it's not this kind of normal residency. So I just feel that now it will like sediment a little, or like all the components in me, and for sure it will sediment in a bit different way than. So it did change me for sure. And also like I'm a little bit even like boring to get back to the normal life kind of. But
so how do you think it will change what you do, how you do it? It's okay if it's too early to tell, but you seem to have perhaps a sense.
I think that I will just like give more attention to certain, let's say, encounters, maybe. Yeah. If it's like it's a bit abstract, but yeah.
I'll take it. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask more about sort of comparative observations about the U.S. and compared to Czech Republic or other places that you've been. You mentioned this, you've answered this a little bit, but I wanted to elaborate more. if there are things that you felt were specific to U.S. culture. You mentioned comedy or the type of improv comedy, but were there other things that you, once you got here and you felt, this is so American?
I think it's much more like competitive here, so people do play more games, these power games, like kind of and
like interpersonal.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They like small talk more, and yeah, like I think that the kind of like big culture difference is that yeah, like here someone asks how are you, and then you
Hi, how's it going?
and there's, like I'm not used to, and I think that it's like in general in Central in Eastern Europe it's not like that, like and I'm not saying that it's not that it's something terrible, but it's just very different, and I think it's a lot about this yeah, about the power games. Like if you don't act in this way, then you are kind of punished for it. You know. Yeah. So in I see like big difference in this like basic communication between people.
Did you feel like you were punished if you didn't do that, or how did that play out?
Yeah. But just like no, it was not terrible. But for example, with the portiers in the Zakendorf Towers, when I explained to one guy and he is European, that you know, like that I'm from, like then I think it changed a bit, like his opinion, because yeah, they are nice and they are, you know, like, but they and it's not that I'm rude and I say like hi, but that's it, you know, I don't like, I'm not used to play these games, and yeah, but this is just like yeah, but I think when you are meeting someone on a regular basis, or if you work with someone and you don't ask him a lot how it's going or whatever, I think that sooner or later you are as like people think that you are kind of like rude and not. So.
Did you find yourself explaining a lot that you're from Czech Republic, and if so, how did people respond? Did they know where it was? Or did you get a lot of funny questions about your home?
I think that like some people, they really don't know where the Czech Republic is, but it's the same with European people and like different states in the US. But
Right.
so I don't consider it like
Not a big
problem.
offense.
Yeah. And yeah, it helped a few times just to say that I'm not from here and that I don't understand some things. You know, like when I arrived, the way how you open the doors with the key. It's just like opposite than we do. It's like, so I just went to the apartment and I couldn't open, so I went to the just like that. I have wrong key or whatever, you know. So
Were people generally friendly and helpful, New Yorkers? I mean, okay. I mean, I should hope so. We're kind of have people from all over all the time.
Or you know, like I couldn't swipe the metro card, you know, like for the first time.
Right.
So
well, that takes a certain amount of technique to build. There's a speed and a levelness.
So it just like helps when you explain to someone that you are not local, and but I was not like shy to do that, and it was just like helpful, and the response was really nice always.
Did you ever get people asking you for directions?
Yeah.
Were you able to give them accurate directions at any point? Did you kind of turn a corner and you realize, wait,
like
I'm
once
telling people where they can go?
Yeah, like once I had like this GPS and or like the smartphone, and another guy didn't, so I just helped him like with this device. Yeah.
That counts. You mentioned when you first got here that there's not a lot of racial diversity, or there's like a monoculture in Czech Republic. How did you observe our own heterogeneity here racially, and did you observe our racial issues here? Were they very obvious to you, and what was your experience of that?
I think that right now in Central and Eastern Europe, like the racism is really really big problem, and it's terrible, like talking about racism, and like in Czech Republic, we the Jews or the community of the Jewish population is not that big as it used to the Romas as well, you know, and as non-colonial country, or like we had no colonies, like for all those reasons, some quite nice, like that we haven't been colonial country, but some but some reasons why it's like that they are terrible. It's like right now in Czech Republic and Poland and Slovak, those Visegrad countries, they are really close, like to fascism. So definitely and people are really like insane when they even like just hear like multiculturalism or whatever, like as a
it's like a hot button word, like people get upset about the idea of it.
Yeah. They always like it's when you say multiculturalism, they always say just reply failed, or like just but it's
it's very visceral. Wow.
It's like, of course, not all the people, especially people I'm surrounded with, not, you know, and but we are really, unfortunately, like small group of people, or just, so definitely the some examples of like multicultural society here. It's like really like I think important like lecture for or it may be, or I wish it is like kind of like lecture for Central European and Eastern European countries, although I can of course see racism here as well, you know, and simply the fact that most of the homeless people are just like Afro-Americans and and people of color, you know, it shows something. So you've got like structural and I know of course about this like Black Lives Matter movement and all those stories, etc. So of course it's like not like success story that, you know, but there is plenty of work was like done here, and on certain levels it really works, and it's nice, you know, and
I wanted to also ask about examples of, you know, you mentioned this idea of a multiculturalism in New York and how that would be good to bring that sort of idea. What other types of things do you think that the U.S. should have that it doesn't have, and other things that socially or politically or that you'd like to bring back besides multiculturalism if you had all the power in the world?
like I see as like the really like terrible problem of at least New York, but I think whole U.S. like not whole U.S. like the lack of like healthcare service for everyone. And
do you have this sort of universally covered single payer thing? Okay, the really good kind.
And also the level of medicine is quite good in Czech Republic still, and it's really like kind of like really affordable for everyone, or it's like like you, let's say like when you work, you or your employee like pays for it. It's kind of like obligatory, and like you are like it's not that we don't pay anything, but also it's accessible like for homeless people. It's much more, I think, than here, you know, and they don't pay. But there is, you know, like it's definitely more social and the free education.
It's completely free there.
Yeah.
At any level you can.
Only the kind of like bad schools. Like we've got some private universities, but they are considered the worst. So if you are not, I don't know, like good enough to get to the state university, then your parents pay for the. But it's completely.
That's how it is. So if you're not good enough to get into state university, then you fall back on private university, and that's the one that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
That's a very different approach than what we do. That's
and
so
it's like to mention that you studied private university. It's kind of like in intellectual fields, for example. It's like
looked down on. Interesting.
Yeah.
What is your sense of our economic situation here? Is there a tangible difference in everyday life, and how do you perceive that?
Like it's like so extreme here. Like the scissors are really widely open, and you can see like super rich and super poor people here in
the
one.
The scissors are widely open?
And like the social, it's maybe only like Czech expression.
But what is it? Like
like there is no like middle class or.
Okay.
But
Got it.
Yeah. And it's fascinating that it's like that you can see this stratification, social stratification in one place, and it's even like materialized. So these like high buildings, they are the material example of this social division, and so it's just like painful and sad to see it. And in general, I'm like quite skeptical to like free market models, and so like
Is it less stratified, or is it less polarized in Czech Republic?
Definitely,
You feel like the scissors are more closed?
That definitely the middle class. And the society is definitely like more equal, but of course with the rise of neoliberalism, like it's maybe going to change. So we have to fight for this kind of like equality, which is still connected with the like previous regimes we had, and so of course we've got. Rich people, but really, when you see it in in the percentage, it's still the middle classes, like big and really equal.
What is your observation? I don't know if you've been following our politics here since you've been here, or had a different sort of relationship to watching them since you're in it. But have you been following our political situation more since you've been here? And if so, have you learned anything from being here that you think you would not have been able to glean while you're back home? And of course, what are your thoughts on it?
Of course, like even before I was kind of following the presidential elections, for example, and of course as well but like for example this Black Lives Matter movement and things connected with that, and also some activistic struggle, for example with the pipeline, etc. So the U.S. politics is kind of like your country is like superpower. So it's if you are into a politics a bit, it's kind of like necessary to follow a bit also the politics of USA. So so I do read articles about it, and also like here, but what is quite like different that what I expect was the campaign. It's not really in the street. It's not visible in the street of New York, or maybe somewhere else. Yes, and I found it quite interesting, and I talked about it also with some other like European friends here. And yeah, because from the media it seems that everybody is showing if he will vote for her or him or whatever, but or I expected some big billboards with nothing like that. So maybe it's also kind of like regulated, that it's only in the TV and in the media, but.
I'm trying to think about why that would be. My guess is that one is so much of our information is coming more obviously from our phones and our tablets and our computers, so advertising is better there, but also New York City in general is pretty liberal and more with her, and so advertising money is less, like it's more important to advertise in battleground states where the race is very tight. That said, Trump has his fans here as well. So, but yeah, that's an interesting observation. I don't even think anything of it. I mean, I think if you go out into the smaller towns, is where you tend to see the lawn sign for people like put on their lawn or like even in their windows to their houses.
Because I've been in Hartford, I have seen few. But not
right. Yeah, I think that's coming to think of it physically, tangibly in everyday life. That's where I tend to see it more. Though in the city, not so much. It's interesting. This is kind of jumping back a little bit. Who are some of the most influential or interesting people that you met here? You had several meetings throughout the month.
Like definitely, for example, meeting with Alberto Mobile, it was really nice. But also like yesterday meeting with media and I had some really nice meetings, and it's like maybe strange to name. Now I even forgot some of the, but sometimes it's more formal, and sometimes it's more intensive, and I think it's also depend on if we just share the interests or not.
Does it? There's a bit of a structure for sure. We kind of set you on a blind meeting with somebody, and they're getting a blind meeting with you, and there's a bit of a.
I just want to add, for example, to what I said, that, for example, I was really kind of afraid to meet with Tom Kaltner, because I felt that this is kind of business guy, and I will be in the role of poor European artist or whatever, showing theirs. But it was super nice and intensive.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah. So so I was also sometimes surprised that I was not expecting, because when you are meeting some intellectual, I mean professor at the university, you can expect that it's going to be probably interesting to talk with him or her. But when you meeting people from business or whether you don't I don't meet them often.
They're outside of your zone typically. Did these meetings sort of change your idea of what New Yorkers are like or what Americans are like? Did they give more, I mean obviously they give more substance, but did you have any expectations about the people you'd be meeting here?
Not really expectation. No.
And
Because they
the
were so diverse. Also, like all and some of them with totally like different like backgrounds. Also like coming from different countries. Not and most of them were not New Yorkers. Also, yeah, I think that most of people I met here, they were just like living here for a few years, maybe, as you.
exactly, yeah. And similarly, in this, it's one of my last questions, I think. Before coming to New York City and before coming to the U.S., you said specifically that you had never really. You could have come here before if you really wanted to. You could have found a way, but it wasn't at the top of your list. And so I wonder that now that you've been here for a month in the U.S., in New York, did it change any perspectives about the country as a whole for you, even as the city? Because the city is very different than the country. New York is very different than D.C. We didn't even talk about D.C. But yeah, did you find yourself drawing different sorts of conclusions, or how would you describe it?
Definitely when the New York is already in my mental map of the world. I think because I have experienced that when you have some city or place in your map, I'm sure that I will be back or in some certain like contact. So like this, like I'm not sure if that was the question, but for example, like just to explore New York, although not professionally, like not really the culture, like the art professional life. I think it just like will naturally like lead to certain maybe professional contact because.
Right.
Yeah.
But does
Professional contact. I don't care about it's not just that. I can imagine that I will be working here.
You're coming back.
Yeah.
But was it what you expected, I guess, is what I was trying to get at. Did you have expectations about what New York would be like, or what, how the US would be manifested in New York City? And was that pretty much what you expected, or do you find yourself walking away with something different?
Even before the thing that the New York is very different than the rest of the countries. I think also from outside, kind of like obvious that it's like that. And I was but to see it, it's even like actually like for example the visit of my family. It was just like a small example of how different it is outside. And it's still really close to New York, so I can imagine that really like
can get very different very quickly. One more thing I've realized I've skipped over as I was asking you questions is, we don't explicitly send you to art activities, but we also figure that you'll find them and you'll go to museums, and the galleries are all kind of in different clusters throughout the city. What was your interaction with the art world here, and what was your sense of it here?
Of course, like you can't really talk about New York scene because you've got like scenes, like many of them, and like once I went to this like Chelsea openings, and that's really that's really terrible for me. Like that's something I don't want to see, and I don't want to go, and like it was just
Why didn't you like it?
For example, like there was an exhibition of artists I know, like not personally, but his work, and I think that he, for example, really like kind of like changed the work according to the expectations of the private gallery here, but terribly, like from interesting performances documented on video, like to some stupid like paintings and objects. Like it was really sad to see that. As I think it's a similar. Like to attend the art fair, that also some great artists, they've got their only like some like shitty stuff which is only and also it was like too like posh for me, like these openings there, like, and also the interactions between people there, like it's so definitely not that
small talk in a fancy outfit.
Yeah. But yeah, then I've seen few like nice, small, interesting like off space, off spaces, and yeah, like.
I'm guessing that range is still present also in Prague. The art scene where art is being tailored to fit a gallery or for sale in a very. But
no,
also,
it's not present in Czech Republic.
Oh, it isn't. There's nothing like that.
Of course, we've got like some private galleries, but I think that it's also, but the market is not big, and I think that connection of artists to the governmental institutions and support is much more present there than here. So there is sometimes like no need to be represented by commercial gallery. Also, some, and let's say maybe most interesting Czech artists, they work with some galleries from abroad, so you don't have that, things happening there. So they and also they are maybe more relaxed because if you have gallery abroad, you don't have to like compete with other people,
Right.
Yeah,
it creates a different sort of culture there, art speaking. Well, it's good that you got to see it though, and see it in the extreme, because the Chelsea thing isn't an extreme thing. It's a sight to behold for sure. Do you have anything else that you want to say about the fellowship? Is there any final thoughts? I've gone through most of my questions here.
I can we could talk hours about it. It's more if you have another question.
I did have one other question. I'll give you one final. You mentioned, you've done a lot of different things, and one thing that did cross my mind as we were speaking is I was curious about the most intellectually challenging thing that you did.
Although it was like very simple lecture kind of, and I was not so interested in it, but like this like basics of stock market, etc. It was just like that. Let's say I'm happy that, although not happy, like it was like I had like few kind of like very basic facts. I read like many books about, let's say, more complicated stuff, and I had no base for that. So yes, I realized that like some details were kind of that was kind of like at the end important. And from the lecture day after, I went also to this Museum of Finance to kind of like refresh it a bit. But the lecture was super simple, but I just had lack of that information, and I have like never attend any like super I think that almost all the lectures I've attended, they were kind of like popular science, popular. Nothing really like super discursive. For example, also again this like math warping workshop. It was not even like a lecture, but it was just like how to use the software. But it made me like think about the connection between like historical representations of certain areas, and how you can use some like digital tools to display archival material, like connected to some like physical, to some geographical coordinates, and so. But you know it better than me that like you are probably like picking or selecting this very general
it's hard to know sometimes what degree of density to put in the schedules in terms of like the lectures, because there are some. Well, one of the things.
Yeah, and we have been together with Ryan. This like
the design
the
of
gender,
feminism.
feminism, gender sexuality, and so okay, like that was kind of like proper lecture. Okay, like,
and I forgot that the other one I think you weren't able to make, but the one up at Columbia that was about global energy sources and stuff like that. That would have been another one that would be more collegiate level. But yeah, no, it's interesting you mentioned the finance thing, because so many it is very basic. I've been to this class. It's super basic and introductory, but at the same time it introduces key concepts that are kind of foreign to me as well. And it's it's good to remind yourself what you don't know. And
I was recently like reading Yanis Varoufakis, the ex-Greek Minister of Finance, leftist thinker, quite interesting. And I read his book, and of course like he's dealing with like those things there. I got some like image about it before, but I was really missing some basic facts, and of course they were not in the book because it was I like skipped this level, and we got no financial education in elementary and high school. Like
they don't really do it so much here either. So maybe balancing your checkbook, which you don't even have a checkbook. For those who don't know this, there are no checks used in the Czech Republic.
That's nice conclusion.
Yes. And with that, unless you have any other final statements, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.